So the foundation is Srila Prabhupada's faith. We also had to go to start temples with no money because we have faith in Prabhupada. We'd get married couples, and he would even marry couples and then send them out to go preach at some city, some unknown city. So Prabhupada, when he landed in the USA, he prayed, I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. He prayed to Krishna. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And by your will, they can be delivered from that. If you like, they can be released. And then, so he's praying to Krishna that we would understand this message that he brought. And then he said something very wonderful in his prayer, which is why we are all here today. And what he said was, I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. So if a devotee has a desire, it must be fulfilled. Krishna must fulfill it. Prabhupada wished we would be delivered. So therefore, we are delivered. We are being delivered by Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada said in his prayers, the words of Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, he will be able to understand your message. So this is Markine Bhagavad Dharma. So in this verse 16, we're going to discuss Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha also, the second step, association with devotees. And then next week, it will be verses 17 and 18, which is Bhajana Kriya, devotional service, and Anartha-nivritti, getting free from the obstacles, the faults that are in our hearts. And then the last class will be 19 to 21, which is Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema, but mostly Nishtha and Ruchi, firm faith, Nishtha, Ruchi, taste, Asakti, attachment, Bhava, ecstasy, and Prema, pure love. So that will be on the last class. So we will have different topics about faith today. We have, all of us have some faith, otherwise you wouldn't be here today. And but how to make it strong and transform that faith into Nishtha, firm faith. So Bhagavatam explains. So you can put up verse 16, 1 to 16 on your screen. You have that verse from Bhagavatam. I can't hear you now.
Are you asking my husband?
I'm asking you if you can put that verse on from.
Okay. I don't know if my husband is going to do that.
Oh, is he here?
Yeah, he should be here. He's here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm putting it up, Mataji.
He's
okay.
pulling it.
Okay. Thank you. There we go. So, Shu Sharadanasya Vasudeva Katarichi Syamahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatiratanishsevanat. So go down to the translation. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So this verse is telling us how we can deepen our faith. We must serve devotees, serve the devotees. What kind of service? Hearing. We must hear from the devotees. And this, if we hear from the devotees, this faith will lead us to association with devotees, initiation, and devotional, free from anarthas, become steady, get a taste, attachment, ecstasy, and love. So, but there is a quality to our hearing, and this is described in this verse. The word shu sho means actually sincerely. Here it says one who engaged in hearing, but in Prabhupada's lecture, he expanded on the meaning of this word, shusho, also means to be receptive, sincerely, here inquisitively. Be open, let your mind be open, don't criticize, don't find fault, but just be open to hear the message. And then the second quality of hearing is shraddhanasya, with attention, care and attention. Hear very carefully, attentively. And so this class is about faith. What is the definition of faith? We hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita, what is faith? A strong faith that Krishna consciousness, by following Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life. So this is vyavasayatmika intelligence. If I simply serve Krishna, all my desires will be fulfilled. Now in Bhagavad-gita, chapter 2, verse 41, Prabhupada also explains faith. He says, faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. So yes, this is unflinching trust. That's a little bit difficult. There is a story about one man. He fell off a cliff, and he was holding onto some branches, some twigs, and he was praying to the Lord, is there anyone up there? Please save me. Then he heard a voice from the sky, just jump, I will save you. And then the man said, is there anyone else up there? Because he wasn't about to jump. So yeah, sometimes we are like that too. We may hear the voice of the Lord, we may read it, we may hear it in Bhagavatam, but we're not so sure if we should do it. We should follow the instructions. So the opposite of faith is doubt. Now there are some good doubts also. We should doubt our sense of reality, that I am the center. That we should doubt. We are not the center of existence. As Prabhupada also said in one purport of 2nd Canto, 6th chapter, a grain of devotion is more valuable than tons of faithlessness. So, and he often asked his devotees if they were convinced. If we're convinced, then all our objectives will be fulfilled. So, Prabhupada, he challenged his devotees, the GBC. He challenged the devotees. He said that you first of all be convinced and try to convince others. And this is the order of Lord Chaitanya. Bharta Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janma Jar Janma Sharta Kori Koro for Upakar. Make your life perfect and preach to others. So he, one time with Indradumna Swami, Maharaj described, suddenly I was alone with you and you were saying, just see the rascals. So much technology and material progress, but no good qualities. You then turned to me and said, what do you think? In my nervousness, I could only blurt out, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Again, you repeated, all rascals, what do you think? I again replied, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And then I was convinced, forever one cannot develop good qualities unless he is a devotee of the Lord. So one time, Prabhupada called all the GBC men to Los Angeles, where they discussed about their zones, and they were all sitting with Srila Prabhupada, and he looked at them and he said, are you all convinced? We just sat there. Nobody said anything for about 2 minutes. It was one of the heaviest moments of my life. This is Jagadish. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, I am convinced. Therefore, I'm pushing this on. It's a fact. I'm pushing on because it's a fact, not fiction. That's much I'm personally convinced. Whenever someone says, you believe, I say, no, I do not believe. It's a fact. So you must spread your conviction by your literature, arguments, preaching, facing opposing elements. But are you convinced? If you're not convinced, that is not good for me. The first thing is enthusiasm. Don't be dead. You have to work more than me. Anyone who has life, he can preach. Satrup also was there, Satrup Maharaj. And his perception was that what he was really asking us was, are you actually ready to follow me and be strong preachers on behalf of Krishna? It was almost as if he expected us to answer him then and there, and no one did. He drove us inside ourselves to ask, do I believe Krishna is God? I felt my shortcomings. I knew my convictions were untested and theoretical. So how to become convinced? Prabhupada wrote a letter to Vrindavan Chandra. Sankirtan will keep you happy, and the books will keep you convinced. So the two go together, the chanting and the books. We need both of them. Yes, we need to be happy and we need to be convinced. So now here's my first question to you. You can write in the chat and make it short. So in your experience in Krishna consciousness so far, what are you convinced about? What aspect of Krishna consciousness are you convinced about? So you can just write in the chat because we don't want everybody to speak. Yeah, just type it out. It can be one word. It can be two. Krishna is our best friend. Thank you. Prasadam's potency. Yes. Yes, prasadam. Association of devotees is sweet. Yeah. Yes. Full faith in Srila Prabhupada. He's everywhere. Krishna is present with us always. The process given by Prabhupada works. Thank you. Very nice. Very nice convictions. So, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, of course. So I'm convinced I'm following the right Shiksha Gurus. There is no other way. Okay, good. We are convinced about something, at least. We are convinced. So, yes, we must have faith. Devotees Association, good. Bhakti comes from Bhaktas, devotees. So we must be convinced that if we take a risk for Srila Prabhupada, that Krishna will protect us. He describes in Bhagavad-gita that that's what the sannyasi should think. Of course, we are not sannyasis, but anyway, this is a good meditation. One should be fully convinced Krishna. This is Bhagavad-gita 16 verses 1 to 3. One should be fully convinced Krishna in his localized aspect is Paramatma, is always within. He's seeing everything. He always knows what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he will give me all protection. This is called abhayam, fearlessness. So we are in Krishna's hands. Faith is a symptom of love of God, and surrender is how we show our love to Krishna. And also faith means to see beyond the possibility of the senses, mind, and intelligence. It's not imposed on us, it's awakened from within. Like a seed, if we water the seed properly, it grows into a beautiful flower. So I've told this story before. I don't know if all of you have heard it, but some of you probably have. About Indradyumna Maharaj. He was on an airplane and he was flying in Africa from one place to another. And every time that it was a small airplane, every time the plane would come down for landing, there was a huge gust of wind and the plane started shaking violently. So Maharaj was chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the Christians were going, Jesus, and the Muslims were going, Allah. And then the plane went back up. And next to Maharaj, there was a scientist. He said, Swamiji, I do not believe in all these things. Plane went down again, started shaking violently. And the scientist was getting sick. The plane went back up. Scientist asked Maharaj, what was that you were saying? So then Maharaj said, Hare Krishna. He said, no, whole thing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the pilot made an announcement, we're going to try one more time. And if we fail, we're going to go back to where we came from. And so the plane went down, everyone was chanting, the scientist was chanting, and the plane landed safely. So Maharaj asked the scientist, now, do you believe? The scientist said, maybe. So Maharaj said, here's my card. If you have any questions, you can contact me. And so, yeah, yes, it's not so easy to change if you're an atheist, but there are cases of people who have gotten faith just by association. So association is so important. Association is so important. So Prabhupada talked about Vyavasayavika Buddhi in Bhagavad-gita, 2nd chapter, verse 41. And he urged us to note Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's advice in his commentary. He said, the essence, whatever the spiritual master says, the disciple should say, yes, this is my life and soul. So, and he commented, I'm not interested for my salvation or going back to Godhead. I'm not interested. Interested means it may come, it may not come. That I don't mind. But I am interested only in the words of my Guru. That is my life. Whether I will be successful or not successful, it doesn't matter. I must take the words of my Guru Maharaj as my life and soul. And that is the secret of success. So single-minded devotees are surrendered souls. They can see how Krishna's energies are working. They feel no anxiety if sometimes the Lord's mercy does not manifest, even after long pleading and prayers. For they have unflinching conviction the Lord will protect them under all circumstances. Now, what about blind faith? In Prabhupada's purport of Bhagavad-gita 4:34, where the verse says you should take shelter of a spiritual master. In the purport, Prabhupada says, blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. He said, not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one should also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So Prabhupada explained what is blind following. So before we joined ISKCON, there were some famous gurus who had thousands of followers, meditation. And so Prabhupada gave that as an example. Oh, so many thousands of people are there. Let me become his disciple. This is blind following. You don't know if he's a rascal or he's a Swami. But because everybody's doing it, okay, it's a fashion. Let me be his disciple. This is blind following. Yeah, so then he quoted this guru, you give me money, I make you immediately God. And I had that experience. I did follow this Swami before I met the devotees. And yeah, he gives you a secret mantra. You have to pay for it. At that time it was $35. It's probably $300 now. Yeah. And it didn't work. He said we would become God. I tried. Didn't work. Or at least liberated. That also didn't work. And so no, then the devotees, they gave the real process and the real information. So it is not a sentiment, it's a science of self-realization. Shuddhakirti, in his book, he writes a prayer to Prabhupada. My faith is very weak, and my ghost-like senses powerfully haunt me. Please purge my soul of these demons. Let me hear the holy name from your courageous lotus lips. Please guide me in your service. I do not know Krishna, but I have experienced the shelter of your stalwart lotus feet. I have complete faith you lovingly experience Krishna at every moment. If I hang on to your fearless lotus feet by your mercy, I will come to serve the Lord. Your Krishna consciousness was evident in every word you spoke, every glance you gave, and every transcendental move you took. Please bless this misguided soul and mercifully glance upon me once again. Without hearing you chant the holy names, I am lost and full of fear. So this, if you get his book, What is the Difficulty by Shuddhakirti, he has many prayers, beautiful prayers and experiences of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would lecture, I think His diary. There was a lecture where he said faith means practical service. Without service to the spiritual master, there's no question of advancement. Just like the dog, Prabhupada said, dog is the lowest of animals. There's none lower than a dog. But the dog has one good quality, faithfulness. If one does not become faithful, he's less than a dog, Prabhupada said. And so, be faithful. So now I'm going to go to the topic of why have faith. What are the benefits if you have faith in Krishna? If you have faith, if you hold on to the lotus feet of Krishna. So I'm going to quote from Bhagavatam. The first quote is from 2nd Canto, 6th chapter, verse 34. It's spoken by Brahma to Narada. Brahma says, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, with great zeal. Whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. So, yes, here's the verse. Thank you. So these are three benefits of having faith. The first one, whatever you say will never be false. And Prabhupada said also in Shuddhakirti heard this, that if you follow this process for 12 years, get up, go to Mangal Arati, chant 16 rounds, have bathe in the morning, chant, offer your food to Krishna. Then after you practice this for 12 years, whatever you say will be true. And so Prabhupada said that. So that's supporting this verse. If you catch hold of the lotus feet of Krishna with enthusiasm, your words will be true. Now the second is your mind. Our mind is crazy. But if you hold on to Krishna's lotus feet, the progress of your mind will never be false, never go in vain. Your plans will not be, it will be undeterred. Your plans will never go in vain. So if you have some plans, they will happen. And your senses will not be degraded. You will not fall down. So three things, your senses, your mind, and your words. That's what we have. Our words, our mind, our senses. They will all be protected if you have faith in Krishna. So in the sentence, in the purport, if you go down a little bit, it starts, the devotees are especially protected by the Lord. That's near the bottom here. They are especially protected so they may remain infallible. Therefore, the process of devotional service always begins in service of the devotee who appears in disciplic succession. So then Prabhupada, yes, it goes on that everything, the plans never go in vain, the senses don't go astray. And so this is the benefits. So this is the first three benefits that you get from taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, the next one, Bhagavad-gita, verse 4, chapter 4, verse 42. If you hear with faith, you get the weapon of knowledge. Krishna says, therefore the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armath yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. So if you follow this, then you will get faith. Now the next verse, we're already on the next one. 7:15:45. And it's the purport. And you might not find it, but it's talking about the sword of knowledge, Gyanasim, and Achyuta Bala, the strength of Achyuta. That's in Sanskrit. So the sword of knowledge, you can go to the purport, or you can find the word Gyanasim in the purport. It's up there in the Sanskrit, Gyanasim, Achyuta Bala. Now we look in the purport where Prabhupada describes Gyanasim, and that's the sword of knowledge. Yes, Gyanasim, there it is. Gyanasim, the sword of knowledge, is given by Krishna. And when one serves Guru and Krishna in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, Balaram gives one strength. So then he's talking about Gaur Nitai, that they're giving us strength. And I go down more, simply getting the weapon of jnana is insufficient. So I think that's down more. Go down more. This is all about Gaur Nitai. Oh, is that it? Okay, I don't know, where is this? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Simply getting the weapon. One must sharpen the weapon by serving spiritual master and adhering to his instructions. Then the candidate will get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by faith, we'll get the sword of knowledge. By hearing with faith, we get the sword of knowledge. And we will get the strength to hold the sword by worshipping Gaur Nitai, Balaram, Nityananda, Balaram, Lord, and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda. So, so now you can look to 1.2.16 purport. How to get faith. We appreciate. This is very nice. Rupa Goswami said, if I could possess millions of tongues and trillions of ears, I could nicely chant here. Going to the last paragraph of 1.2.16. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. Yeah, this is the second sentence. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in Bhagavad-gita that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of the Lord. Eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. And so by having faith and serving the devotee, then you will get eagerness to hear. You'll get eagerness to hear. This verse says, ruchi, you will get taste for hearing, actually. And so, yes, as this verse says, shushu shadadanasya, you have to be sincere and eager to hear with faith. And Prabhupada gives his personal experience how eagerness to hear is a very important thing. He met his spiritual master for the second time in 1933. And he was just asking all the disciples, when will Guru Maharaj speak? So his guru noted this and he was pleased. He accepted me immediately. He said, this boy is very nice. He's very inquisitive to hear. He does not go away. So this is a good qualification if you're eager to hear, shushu, very inquisitive. So how to get this enthusiasm it comes from sincere chanting and attentive hearing. So Prabhupada had this faith. Now I will give another benefit of faith. I don't have this verse, but it's mukam karoti vachalam bangalam kaitegunim. If you hear with faith, if you are dumb, if you cannot speak, then you will be able to speak beautifully. You will speak beautifully. If you are lame, then you will climb mountains. If you are dumb, you will speak. Yeah, I said that. And if you're blind, you can see the stars in the sky. Yeah. And so this is the meaning. Yeah, we don't want to play this. But yes, we are getting them really. The meaning here, benefit of faith. If you can't walk, you will. We have devotees who, with one leg only, and they're actually doing parikrama. I know my god sister, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Who used to make the sweets in London. She left her body. Anyway, I can't remember it right now. Anyway, her feet were impossible to walk on. She was pretty old, like maybe 70. But she went on Vrindavan, she went on Braja Mandala Parikrama with those feet. So the lame can cross mountain. The lame can do Brajamandala Parikrama. That's one example. And there's another example of how dumb can speak. And when I was in Juhu, Bombay, one dumb person who could not speak, he joined. And there are some cases like that in ISKCON. They have to write their rounds instead of speak them, and it takes a lot longer. It takes them hours and hours. And so he, after associating with devotees, he started making sounds with his mouth. You know, it was like, and he's preaching very, very strongly to the dumb people in Maharashtra. Yes, there is also another person who is doing that in UK, and they sent me a CD where they have because there's the blind language, sign language, so they had signs for Krishna like this, and then Radharani and different, you know, devotional words. They made into sign language also. They translated all the devotional words into sign language. Ram, Sita, they have all these words in sign language now. And they made a video of that. So this is, yes, the dumb can speak if you have faith in Krishna, and the blind can see the stars in the sky. There was in Vaishanava one artist who was blind, but he painted the picture of Radha and Krishna dancing like peacocks without seeing. He painted a beautiful picture. So these are examples. And I will give you an example later on at the end of class. So then next benefit of faith is Bhagavad-gita 5:17. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Now, another very, very often cited verse is from the Upanishads. Yasya deve prabhati yata deve tata gurau tasaiti katita yarta prakashante mahatmanha. Only to those great souls who have implicit faith in the Lord and spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So if you have faith, you will get all the whole Vedas will be revealed to you. Now, another 3 things, amazing things you can get by having faith. Narada Muni, when at the end of his, when he became a devotee, he said because of his faith, he said he got transcendental knowledge. So you will get knowledge. Second, so the Vedas, we just said that you will get knowledge of the Vedas. Second, he got mystic powers. And third, he got loving service. So bhakti is higher than the mystic powers and the knowledge. Bhakti was less. He got service of the Lord. So Prabhupada explained that, you know, we can also get these by having faith. In the purport, Prabhupada said, Narada has explained all these from his personal experience, and one can obtain all the facilities which he, Narada, obtained by perfecting the chanting process of the sound representation of the Lord. Now, there's another example in India, in Juhu, Bombay. There was this man named Mr. Sethi, and he was into construction, and he was serving the devotees. When we came to Bombay, it was so austere. We had so many austerities. We had no place to live. We were living on the land, and the deities were living in a tent. And I remember my first arrival. I came from USA, arrived in Juhu Beach, and there was this one hut, which was the men's living quarters, the prasadam room, the kitchen, the office, you name it. It was everything in one hut. I mean, the hut, they didn't have rooms. It was just all in one room. And so prasadam time came, and there were these huge rats running up on the rafters above us. And I was watching, and I thought, oh my God, I hope it doesn't fall in my plate. And he fell in someone else's plate. I was happy, but probably I shouldn't have been. But, you know, it's, you know, first day in India, it's just too much. and the ladies' ashram was up on the roof of a building, and it was summer. So there we were in Bombay, Juhu, living on the land. And so what happened after a couple of years, Mr. Sethi started building rooms for us devotees to live on the tops of the tenants. We had tenants, but you couldn't evict them. They wanted huge sums of money. So then he was building rooms on top of the flats in back of the land for the devotees to live. And so one time Mr. Sethi came to see Srila Prabhupada, and Mr. Sethi was covered with cement and dust, and Prabhupada said to him, just as you are building these rooms for my disciples here, Krishna is building rooms for you in Goloka. And Mr. Sethi said, oh, but I'm so sinful, how can I go to Goloka? And Prabhupada said, that I will see. Okay, guaranteed. Guaranteed passage to Goloka by serving the devotees, and even the servant of the servants, serving the servants of the servants. And so, yeah, he had that faith. The faith works miracles. Go back to Godhead with that faith. And so we talked about some benefits of faith: eagerness to hear, your words will be true, progress of your mind will be undeterred, senses won't be degraded, get the weapon of knowledge, progress to Nishtha and Ruchi, climb mountains, dumb can speak, blind can see, freedom from doubt, understand all the Vedas and see Krishna. Transcendental knowledge, mystic powers, Bhava, all by serving the devotees. Okay, so question time again for me to ask you. First question is, why did you start to practice this Krishna consciousness? Why did you join? What caused you to join? What did you have faith in that actually made you, or what attracted you to join this movement? You write in the chat. Prasadam, okay, yeah, I have to admit, my wife forced me. Oh, very good wife. Kirtanam Prasadam. Devotee character. Yeah, that happens. Sometimes the husband forces, sometimes the wife forces. Happiness of devotees. Happiness, yes, devotees are happy. Yeah, that will attract you. I also want to be happy. Yeah, they're happy. Seeing Gornitai, woo. Yeah, Gornitai, very merciful. You just see them once, you'll be attracted. My very good friend introduced me. Happiness got answered. Questions got answered. Okay. My husband requested me. Yes, now we have both. Believe in Krishna, and he's everywhere to protect. Good, good, good. All right. Curiosity. Deepen our faith. Relief from stress and frustrations. Yeah, for sure. It really helps to associate with devotees. Okay, next question. This one's might be a little more difficult. So we know why you came. Now, why do you stay here in Krishna consciousness? Why do you stay? What keeps you going? It might be the same things. Who knows? Because at first it's the wife, the husband, but now you came yourself came, and must be other reasons. Peaceful, belief, devotee sangha, making me happy. Good. Keep learning, no other way. Devotee association, Guru and Krishna, yay! They are keeping us. All these things. Krishna's benediction, free from anxiety. Oh, that's so helpful. And now is a really anxiety time in the world. Sweet devotees, seeing it work slowly. Relationships with devotees and spiritual master, devotee association, protection of Krishna, love of devotees, yay! So we have all of that and more, and more. We have everything here. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to talk about here is how to strengthen your faith. And I'm going to give you 3 ways. And I'm going to ask you to practice this before next week. Do something to strengthen your faith. Okay, so here's the 3 things. My suggestions, you can also find more things to strengthen your faith. It's not just this, but here's some suggestions. You can hear Srimad Bhagavatam. This will give you faith. It says in 2:110, one who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith and the Supreme Lord. That's 2:110. Now, the second thing you can do, besides hearing Bhagavatam, is apply Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, you hear it. Now, try to apply it. Behave as a Krishna conscious person. Tell others about it. Understand what we're doing, and don't blindly accept. Just try to see how you can make it relevant for your life. And the third thing is to be grateful. This will increase your faith. Because if you constantly say thank you to Prabhupada and Krishna and Guru, then your faith will increase, because you'll see more things to be thankful about. And then your faith will increase. Oh yeah, there's the holy name. There's so many things. And gratitude doesn't mean simply saying thank you. Real gratitude means reciprocation. If you're grateful, you'll reciprocate with Krishna. You'll do something. Okay. And there is an exercise you can do for being grateful if something difficult happens to you, for turning your consciousness around to being grateful for it. And this is what you need to do. When some difficulty comes, you write down 10 reasons why you thank Krishna for this to happen. For example, thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I will get more exercise. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I won't forget how to write with a pen. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I will use my brain more. Thank you, Krishna, for breaking my computer, because now I will get a new computer. Okay, so, and this actually, it's an amazing thing happens when you write this list, is that your computer may start working. Like the opposite, I mean, you change everything around and it becomes so positive. The energy around you becomes so positive. We see negative too much. And that things start to work. Your miracles start to happen. So this is a nice exercise to do. So how to pass the test of faith? Prabhupada says, for devotees, there is a test. We see Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Narada Muni. And so one disciple asked, so Prabhupada, more advanced devotee, more severe the test? Prabhupada said, no. After you pass the exam, no more test. You just have to pass the exam. Not so easy. So what do you mean by faith? His disciple said, this test depends on one's faith in Krishna. Prabhupada said, what do you mean by faith? What does that faith mean? So the disciple said, conviction. What is your conviction? And the devotee said, Krishna is the controller. Krishna is in control. You may have faith or no faith. That doesn't matter. Sometimes, Prabhupada he's looking for a certain answer here. Another one says, Krishna will always protect. And then one said, when he's convinced to abide by the instructions, Prabhupada said, yes, this is faith. You are meant for giving some service to Krishna. You should stick to that service in spite of all impediments. That is the passing of the test. We're meant for preaching, so there may be tests, but we should remain determined. And there may be impediments, but you should still do it. That is the test. So the devotee said, passing the test means executing the order of the spiritual master. Prabhupada said, yes, that is spiritual life. We have to take the order and execute it. And so when we face difficulties and still remain faithful to Krishna and Guru, we get the infinite mercy of their hearts. We access that. So it's good. Bhagavatam 11th canto, 4th chapter, verse 10 describes what happens if you go beyond these obstacles. Or although there may be many obstacles on the path of the sincere devotee who is preaching the glories of the Lord, such obstacles increase the determination of devotee. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the continuous obstacles presented by the demigods form a kind of ladder or stairway upon which the devotee steadily progresses back to Godhead. So if we do one obstacle, it's another stair. If another one comes and we go beyond it, another stair, and we're getting closer and closer to Krishna every time. So I would give you an example from my travels in Germany at Nugoloka Dham, Abenteuer. There was one old lady who would come to the temple for Sunday feast on Sundays. She was half blind and she could hardly walk, so she would take a bus from her nursing home. And the bus driver was kind. He would drop her right in front of the temple instead of the regular bus stop. But one day there was a new bus driver and he left her 1 mile away. And she walked to the temple, although she's half blind and she couldn't walk. So the devotees asked, well, how did you get to the temple? You can't see properly. And she said, oh, it wasn't a problem. I just saw Krishna in front of me and I just followed him. So there you go. She had the faith to do it, and Krishna reciprocated with her. And she's not initiated, nothing, but she had that faith. And she had that enthusiasm. She really wanted to come to the temple, despite her all the obstacles, impediments. And so yeah, there's another example of one man, old man. He came to join the temple in Delhi. And he said, then he met one devotee and he said, I want to be a disciple of Prabhupada. I asked, but they told me I have to serve in the temple for 6 months. So that was the standard. In those days, you had to join. Couldn't be outside. So then he showed me, oh, his leg is swollen. He said, I have a big problem with my leg. I cannot serve in the temple. So can you please ask Prabhupada to accept me as his disciple anyway? So the devotee took the man to see Prabhupada in the evening, and the man brought a big plate of fruit to offer to Prabhupada. And the man said to Prabhupada, I want to chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, so who's stopping you? Do you know how to chant Hare Krishna? The man said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, yes. Prabhupada took the man's beads and showed him how to do it. He chanted a full round on the man's beads and said, now you chant. He gave his beads back. He didn't initiate him, but he did that actually. So then after traveling for a while, this devotee went to see the man. He was still chanting and he had a big picture of Prabhupada in his room. And the second time he said, I went to see him, he had passed away. And I heard they could not take the beads from his hand. I heard in the last 2 or 3 weeks of his life, he didn't do anything but chant. In the last week, he sat in one place, looked at Prabhupada's picture, and chanted. When he left, the last thing they heard was his chanting. So there you go. And he got initiation somehow or other. Prabhupada just took his beads and chanted on them, which is what he did for us, He didn't give him change his name or anything, but he gave him that connection. He gave him that connection. Prabhupada followed the rules. The rule was you have to stay in the temple and serve. And Prabhupada followed them, but he also went beyond the rules too. He gave that man mercy. Because he's the guru and he didn't want to, disrupt the management or what was going on, but he did want to give mercy to everyone. So no one got away from Prabhupada's mercy. And so now I would like you to do one thing to strengthen your faith this week. Hear Bhagavatam, practice Bhagavatam, be grateful. Yeah, that's for you to do. So now it's question time. If you have any questions, you can ask at this point.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
No question, Mataji, but the realizations and the examples that you gave, and they're so touching. So
Yeah, the examples are really good. They're so good. I mean, they happen. They happen.
My
Okay.
husband has posted a
It kind
question.
of convinces us not to fear to have faith, because sometimes we want to have faith, but really when we chant and all, mind goes here and there, and then we think really those things can happen to us, kind of things we think.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's part one of the four things that we experience in this world is fear: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So and fear is the most difficult. I mean, yeah, fearing, because it's all the time. Eating we do sometimes. The other things we only do sometimes. Eating, sleeping, mating only sometimes. But fear can be all day, 24 hours. So it's the most difficult thing. Yeah, now we do have questions from Bahari. How does one know your faith is increasing? You
Also,
know your faith is
can you
increasing.
clarify there also?
Hello?
Can
Yep.
you clarify how to overcome this fear factor and
How
technique?
to overcome the fear factor? Yeah, there's different things you can do. You can chant prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, because and you can chant Narayana Kavacha, you can chant Nishinga Kavacha. But Narayana Kavacha is in Bhagavatam, especially before you sleep. And Nishinga Kavacha is very good also to be free from fear. And also, when Bhagavatam says chant Hare Krishna is the best way, fearless way for success. If you want to become fearless, chant. That will be very helpful. And we do have a question here. How do you know your faith is increasing? When you go out of your comfort zone to serve Krishna. When you do something, when you take a risk for Krishna, when you're ready to take a risk for Krishna, preach to someone, tell them about Krishna, do book distribution, do something, do some more service for Krishna, then your faith is increasing. What do you think one should do to increase faith? Well, I gave you 3 ideas. Of course, association with devotees is the most important thing. Hear Bhagavatam, apply Bhagavatam, be grateful. But also, yes, you can take a risk for Krishna. But, don't forget to wear your mask. I mean, don't take off your mask. Don't take that risk. We should still follow the guidelines. Why does our faith dwindle when something goes wrong in our life? Yeah, that's why you need to do this exercise of thanking Krishna when something goes wrong. So you can see Krishna's hand when something goes wrong. Okay, what? And you have to see also, what is the lesson I have to learn? It's an exam. It's an exam for death, when it will be the most difficult time that goes wrong in your life. Death is the worst thing that will go wrong in your life. And now it's just little things. So we need to prepare. Our faith dwindles because we don't practice. You have to practice. You have to practice. What is the name of the book by Shuddhakirti? The name of the book is What is the Difficulty? What is the Difficulty? Yes. Beautiful book. Most beautiful book, I feel, about Prabhupada. Different little stories and lessons from each story. You learn so much from that book by Shuddhakirti. Yeah.
Mataji, what do you mean by saying practice the Bhagavatam, the second suggestion?
Yeah, okay, practice Bhagavatam. When Bhagavatam says something, it says like, okay, serve the devotees. Okay, so it says serve the devotees. So then you do something to serve the devotees. Just do what it says. If you serve the devotees, you will increase your taste. So online now, there's so many devotees speaking. You can go online, hear lectures. You can hear Prabhupada also. That serve the devotees. That's how to practice Bhagavatam. Like even Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says tolerate. So 1 day or 1 hour you tolerate, or even 1 minute. You try tolerating. Yes. And every day we have something to tolerate. I mean, that's we have many things to tolerate. So that's a practice you can do. Yeah. Bhagavatam gives you things to do. Gita gives you things to do. Yes. Okay. What is the name? What attracted? When somebody's asking, what attracted me to Krishna, and what made you continue? So many things attracted me, but the chanting was the main thing. As soon as I heard the chanting, it never went out from my mind yet. And the books. There were only a very few books when I joined. Only Gita, small Gita, and Gita. First 3 cantos of Bhagavatam Prabhupada brought on the boat. And there was Ishopanishad and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That's all. So I was attracted to the books. I was attracted to the chanting. I was attracted to the devotees. See, when I joined, you can believe the temple I joined. The president was Satsrup Maharaj. The Harinam Sankirtan leader was Giraj Maharaj, and that kept me too. You know, I would go out on Harinam every day with Giraj Maharaj and devotees. And yeah, also, I lost. There you go. I lost, yes, no. Yeah, what else? The devotees. Hridayananda Maharaj was the temple commander. Bhavananda was interior decorator. Pradumna was there. All the press was there. All the artists, all the good kirtan leaders were there. And, you know, I was a musician, so I really liked kirtan. And so I liked the kirtan. I liked the harinam. I liked prasadam especially. All these things attracted me. Everything attracted me. And why did I stay? Because because the same things. The deities, afterwards I got very attached. They only had very small deities. I had Jagannath, so I was attached to Jagannath. But then later on I became a pujari, so I became very attached to the deities. And still Prabhupada's books, still that, and the chanting, and the devotees, and the prasad. That's all still there. Okay, have faith is not yes or no. It's an ever-fulfilling experience. Can you comment on that? Yes, we have to always practice. We have to always be grateful. We always have to see the hand of Krishna in our lives, how he is protecting us, how he is helping us in our devotional service, how he is giving us everything. Okay, another one. Do you think from your experiences preaching that convincing people now is harder than the time you joined? And if so, why? Yeah, in one sense, it's harder because when I joined, it was such an experience to live in the temple. And how I joined, you know, you go to the temple like this, and then somebody says, okay, it's time for prasadam. After prasadam, okay, it's time to make garlands. After garlands, okay, it's time for harinam. You couldn't go. You couldn't go home. They always had something for you to do. There was no, and it was not boring. You couldn't go home. That was it. And then, so I thought, in that sense, it was easier to make people join because there was a place and things were going on 24 hours a day. Well, almost 24 hours. I mean, and you could just be immersed immediately, just like there was an immersion. Now it's a little slower because more people live outside and, you know, they take their time and they have their jobs and their families. We had nothing. Most of it. We were just devotee. We just were chanting and dancing and that was it. And reading the books and eating prasad and having classes and that's all we did, you know, day in and day out. So I think it was easier to have people join like that. Now it's you know, it's more difficult to in that sense. But book distribution is the same according to Vaisheshika and the devotees in New York. They are still able to distribute books just as, of course, then we had traveling parties. Now you can't do that. But they're doing online. And I think the online, of course, is now big. We didn't have internet in those days, so there was no Zoom. There was nothing like that. Even the phones weren't working. So it was, yeah, but it was just Harinam that did it. That's all we did. We had Harinam and book distribution, and that was the way we spread. It was, in that sense, it was more personal. And now it's like online, so it's a little bit more difficult, I would say, that you don't get the experience that we got. We got that experience. Okay, how do we know faith is only at the mind level, theoretical, real heart level faith? As again, I said, if you do something for Krishna that requires faith, do something extra. And yes, why do all my questions go away after listening to you, even if I don't have full understanding? That happened with Prabhupada, yes. We would have problems, when Prabhupada wasn't there, and then Prabhupada came and he would just look at us and what was that problem? I can't remember now. What was that? His glance was very powerful. His presence was very powerful. So we are trying to share with you that feeling of being with Prabhupada, that yes, all the answers are there. Bhagavatam has all the answers to your questions, even before you ask them. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. And next week will be verses 17 and 18 of First Canto, Chapter 2. We will discuss devotional service, bhajana kriya, and anartha nivritti, and going beyond. Yes, becoming free from unwanted habits and things that stop us, that hinder us from advancing. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. It was beautiful, beautiful session today.
Hare Bol.
Looking forward to the next 2 days.
Yeah, Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
That was really nice. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you very much, Mataji.
like Pat was saying, after hearing you, even I'm thinking, oh my God, what all did I have to ask her now? We just go blank suddenly. But yeah, it was very nice. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Kalpataruvayaschet kripa sindhu
Indubevacha.
Patitan
Namo Namaha.
Anantakoti
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Please Narayani Mataji ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Mataji, do you want to stay for the Nrsimhadev prayers? We have.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
So Shivani, Rajneesh, are the children ready? The boys ready? Shivani. Where did Shivani go?
Yes, Mataji, they are ready.
They're ready? Okay, let's begin then.
One second, Mataji.
Sure. Oh, Mataji, Narayani Mataji.
Yes.
Today is Laddu Gopal Prabhu's 50th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So please give him your blessings and your good wishes. Where's Laddu Gopal? Is he here? Okay. Yes.
Here?
You'll see his name as Lalji.
Lalji, I'm looking.
His wife is sitting with him.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, yeah, I see him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank
you so much.
Okay,
Yes,
let Srila
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada give you all the benefits of faith. Let your faith increase and let your service increase too.
Yeah, thank you very
so much
much.
for your
Thank you,
blessings,
Mataji, for your
Mataji.
blessing. It is always pleasure to listen to you, see you. Hope you should soon come here and DC.
That is up to
With you.
Krishna. I don't know
Yeah.
when that will happen.
Yeah.
Now we see the three boys of Rajneesh and Shivani on the screen under the name of Shivani. So let's begin the kirtan, the Nrsimhadev prayers, boys.